come back. I can feel the vibration passing through the stones of this mountain, directly into my marrow. If you find this diary, if these pages ever leave the snow, do not come for us. Do not send rescuers to these coordinates. This slope, it no longer belongs to the world of men. It belongs to something that doesn't breathe, to something that pulses with a light that burns the eyes even through closed lids. The sky has turned a dirty orange, electric, and time is stopping here. My watch is twitching, the gears grinding against a force I cannot name. It feels as if the air itself is becoming solid, pressing against my chest, stealing my oxygen. Zina, don't look there! I am shouting at her. I am screaming until my throat is choked with blood, but this light is everywhere. Whatever you do, if you see the spheres above the peak, do not look. My name is Igor. I am a student of the Polytechnic. We are here for glory, for the spirit of the explorer. We are here to conquer the heights. But we are not the masters of this wilderness. We are the prey. My hands are shaking so much that I can barely hold the pencil. The lead constantly snaps against the frozen paper, but I must leave a record. Object 1079. That is what they will call this place in the secret files. A number. A cold number for 9 souls lost in the white void. We are still here, but we are becoming shadows, waiting for the mountain to finish what it started. January 23rd, 7 p.m. I am writing this by the dim, flickering light of the Sverdlovsk railway station. The platform is a chaotic sea of steam, iron, and the heavy, comforting scent of coal smoke. Every breath we take turns into a thick white cloud, and for us, the world is already shrinking to the size of our small group. There are 10 of us. I look at the faces of my friends under the station lights and feel a surge of pride that I cannot describe. We are the masters of our own path. We are young, we are experienced hikers, and the weight of our rucksacks feels like the weight of a bright future. Zina is laughing nearby. She is checking the sugar supplies for the 10th time, her eyes glowing with an internal fire that even the Ural winter cannot extinguish. She is the heart of this expedition, the one who reminds us why we are here. And then there is Lyuda, arguing with Yura about the weight of the movie cameras. They are so full of life. We are carrying the best equipment, cameras, rolls of film, maps that we have studied until they appear in our dreams. Tonight, it feels like we can walk around the entire world if we want to. The smell of damp wool and cheap tobacco is everywhere in the carriage. As we board the train, the whistle sounds, a long, mournful cry that seems to summon us to a great battle. We settle onto the wooden benches, sharing thick slices of bread and hot tea from a thermos, discussing the triumph that awaits us at the summit of Otorten. We believe in our strength, in science, and in our friendship. But as the train starts moving and the city lights vanish into the black abyss of the night, I see Semyon. He is staring at his reflection in the frosted window and is not smiling with the rest of us. He is older, a man who has seen the horrors of the Great War, and he looks as if he is counting the minutes he had left. I ask him what he sees out there in the dark, but he only touches the strange, faded tattoo on his arm and turned away. I dismiss his silence as veteran's nerves. I hope I am right. The journey is beginning, and the rails only lead in one direction. January 28th, 9 a.m. A hard morning in the abandoned settlement. I am writing this inside a house that feels like a tomb. Today, our circle is broken. Yuri is leaving us. His leg is failing him. The pain is so sharp he can barely stand straight. We stood in the waist-deep snow, and for the first time, I felt a shadow fall over our group. It was a somber farewell. Yuri looked at us with eyes full of regret, but there was a flicker of a warning he couldn't put into words. He hugged Liuda and gave her his fur vest.
"Wear it,"
he whispered.
"The wind on the heights. It doesn't just bite the skin. It bites the spirit."
Now there are 9. 9 souls against the Ural winter. I watched him turn back, his lone figure slowly dissolving into the white haze. Part of me wanted to call him back, to tell him we should all follow him back to the city. But I am the leader. I have to be the rock. I turned my back on the last link to the world I know and looked toward the jagged peaks. They look like teeth waiting to close. The forest is watching us now. I can feel it between the trees, a silence that is too heavy to be natural. Late at night. The candle is flickering against the canvas of the tent. The others are asleep, but sleep avoids me. My mind keeps turning to Semyon. He is much older than us, a man who has seen the fire of the Great War. Why is he here? Why did a man of his experience join a group of students for such a brutal mission? I watched him today while we were crossing the frozen marsh. He doesn't move like a hiker. He moves like a soldier in enemy territory. Every few minutes he stops, tilts his head, and listens to the wind. Not for the sound of a storm, but for something else. I saw him touching the hilt of his knife, his knuckles white. There is a tension in his shoulders that never leaves him, even when we are drinking tea. He carries a secret in the lining of his coat, something heavier than his rucksack. Earlier today, I saw his tattoos again. Dermuazui. When I asked him about them, he didn't answer. He just stared at the ridge of the mountain. He told me that during the war, he saw things in the sky, lights that defied the laws of our science. He thinks this place, Object 1079, is calling to those lights. He doesn't look at the maps with curiosity, he looks at them with recognition. He said we are like ants walking on the skin of a sleeping giant.
"The mountain doesn't like to be watched,"
he said. I try to remain a man of logic, but in the dark of this tent, with the wind screaming like a lost soul, Semyon's whispers feel more real than any map. He isn't here for a hike. He is here because he knows the darkness is waking up.
"You think you know the world, Igor.
He whispered to me when the others weren't listening.
You think the maps tell the whole story. But there are places on this earth that were never meant to be mapped. Places where the air is thin and the veil between worlds is even thinner."
The river has become our road, but it is a treacherous one. The ice beneath the snow groans under the weight of our skis, like a dying beast. Every kilometer feels like 10. My legs are like stone, and the rucksack straps are cutting into my shoulders like saws. But it is not the physical pain that bothers me anymore. It is the silence. The taiga is supposed to have a voice. I grew up knowing the woods. There should be birds, the rustle of a fox, the cracking of frozen branches. But here, nothing. It is as if the forest is holding its breath, waiting for us to pass through so it can close the path behind us. The trees stand like tall white sentinels, wrapped in layers of frost, watching our every move with wooden, unblinking eyes. I feel like an intruder in a cathedral of ice. I look at Zina and Rustem. They are pushing forward with grit, but even their laughter has grown quiet. We are moving into the throat of the mountain now. The air is getting thinner, and the light has a strange metallic quality to it. Even at noon, the sun looks pale and weak, like a dying candle behind a frosted pane of glass. It provides no warmth, only a flat, gray glare that makes the horizon disappear. I find myself stopping to check my compass every 5 minutes. The needle is nervous. It shivers and drifts, pulled by something deep within the granite of the peaks. We are breaking the virgin snow, and I feel as if we are violating a sanctuary that was never meant for human eyes. I keep looking back, expecting to see something following us in our tracks. There is nothing there. Only the white void and the feeling of being hunted by the wind itself. We found them today. Notches carved into the bark of the ancient larch trees. The signs of the Mansi. I have read about these tribes, about their legends of the Golden Woman and the spirits that guard these ridges. But seeing the signs in person, it changes the atmosphere of the camp. The symbols are strange, jagged lines that seem to point toward the peak of Kholat Syakhl. Semyon stood by one of the trees for a long time, tracing the carvings with his gloved fingers. He didn't say a word, but his face was as grim as the stone. I spent a long time looking at one particular carving. The wood around the marks was gray and weathered, but the lines were deep, cut with a sharp blade a long time ago. They don't follow the logic of our alphabet. They are jagged, like lightning frozen in wood. Semyon stood beside me, his breath a thick plume of steam in the twilight. He didn't say anything, but I saw him trace the sign with his finger, and he shivered. Not from the cold, but from a memory. He whispered that the Mansi don't call this place the Mountain of the Dead just to be poetic. They call it that because the mountain demands a harvest. Every cycle, it takes what it needs to keep the lights burning in the sky. The group tried to joke about it during dinner. Yura made a comment about forest spirits, but the laughter died out quickly when the wind howled through the branches above us. I try to explain it logically to them. I tell them these are just territorial markers for hunters, simple signs to guide their way. I am a man of science, a student of the New Age. I do not believe in curses. But tonight, in my diary, I must admit the truth. I feel a gaze on my back that does not belong to any animal. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, I saw a flash of gold in the sky. Not a star, not a plane. A sphere of light, hovering for a split second above the ridge before vanishing into the purple clouds. I didn't tell the others. I don't want to start a panic. But the mountain is no longer just a destination. It is an observer. I try to remain a man of science, a student of the modern age. I tell myself these are just territorial markers for hunters, a map for the reindeer herders. But tonight, as I write this, I cannot shake the feeling that the trees are leaning in toward our camp. The shadows cast by the fire are too long, moving in ways that don't match the flickering flames. And as the sun dipped below the horizon, I saw it again. A flash of gold, high above the ridge. It wasn't a star. It was a sphere of liquid fire, silent and impossible. It watched us for a heartbeat, and then dissolved into the purple clouds. The mountain is no longer just a destination. It is an observer. February 1st, 3 p.m. We are on the slope of Kholat Syakhl, the Mountain of the Dead. I can hear the wind screaming across the exposed rock, a sound like 1,000 voices crying out at once. We had a choice today, Stay in the shelter of the forest or climb higher? I chose the heights. I wanted us to be ready to hit the summit at dawn, to not lose the elevation we fought so hard to gain. I look back at the tree line we left behind. It's a thin black strip at the bottom of a world that has turned entirely gray. Up here, there is no life. No moss, no shrubs, only the ancient granite of the Urals, polished smooth by centuries of storms. The air doesn't just feel cold, it feels thin, as if the mountain is trying to starve our lungs of oxygen. My breath comes in short, ragged gasps that freeze instantly on my collar. We are miles from the nearest human heart, and the isolation is a physical weight pressing down on my shoulders. I can see the doubt in the eyes of some of my friends. The cold here is different. It is aggressive. It searches for any gap in your clothes, any weakness in your spirit. We are pitching the tent on a barren ridge, anchoring it into the frozen earth. There is no wood for a fire here. We will eat our meal cold tonight. Pieces of salted pork and hard bread. Putting up the tent was a battle of its own. Our frozen fingers struggled with the frozen canvas, which flapped in the gale like the wings of a giant wounded bird. We had to use our skis as anchors, burying them deep into the packed snow. My hands are numb, turning a sickly shade of white, and I can barely feel the pencil as I write these lines. We are huddled together, our knees touching, but there is no warmth to be shared. The bread is so hard it cracks like stone between our teeth, and the salted pork tastes like iron. We eat in silence, listening to the canvas slap against the poles. Every gust of wind feels like a giant hand trying to push us off the ridge. I am writing this while the others are huddled together for warmth. There is a strange tension in the air, a pressure that makes my head throb. I keep thinking about the cache we left at the base of the mountain. We are so light now, so vulnerable. I keep telling myself that this is just a standard tactical move, but a part of me feels as if the mountain pulled us here. It wanted us out in the open, away from the trees, where there is nowhere to hide from the sky. Semyon is sitting by the entrance, staring out into the gray haze. He hasn't moved for an hour. He looks like a statue waiting for the end of the world. It is as if we were lured out of the tree line. The forest was a shield, but here on the open slope, we are exposed to whatever the sky decides to throw at us. The static electricity is so high that our hair stands on end, and small blue sparks dance when we touch our blankets. It's not a normal storm. It feels like the air itself is charging up for something terrible. I looked at the compass, and the needle is spinning slowly, unable to find north. Something is wrong with the earth beneath us. Something is happening. It started as a hum, a low vibration that I felt in my teeth before I heard it with my ears. The air inside the tent has become thick, charged with static. My hair is standing on end. I look at my watch, and the hand is jumping, skipping seconds as if the mechanism is terrified. The sound isn't coming from the wind. It's coming from the ground beneath us, and the sky above at the same time. It is a frequency that makes my internal organs shudder. My vision is blurring, shifting into a gray haze. Rustem is clutching his head, his face contorted in a silent mask of agony. It feels as if a massive, invisible weight is descending upon the tent, pressing the fabric down toward our faces. The smell. There is a sharp scent of ozone and scorched metal, like a laboratory after an explosion. I try to speak, but my voice is swallowed by the thrumming of the air. The light. It is coming through the canvas. It shouldn't be possible. It is dark outside, but a sickly, pulsing orange glow is illuminating the interior of the tent. It isn't a fire. It is cold. A cold light that passes through the fabric as if it weren't there. I can see the bones in my hand when I hold it up to the glow. The orange spheres are right above us. I can feel their heatless radiation. It is a light that reveals everything, but explains nothing. My heart is skipping beats, fluttering like a dying bird. Semyon has stopped staring. He has collapsed to his knees, his lips moving in a prayer I cannot hear. The roar has reached a crescendo, a sound so deep it bypasses the ears and shakes the very foundation of my soul. We are no longer in a tent on a mountain. We are inside a machine. A machine that is deciding our fate. The hum has become a roar now. It is a sound that isn't a sound. It is a physical blow to the brain. Zina is covering her ears, her mouth open in a silent scream because the noise is drowning out everything. The ground beneath us is shivering. It feels like the mountain is shifting, or like something massive is hovering just feet above our heads. Yura, the knife! Get the knife! The pressure is too much. I can't breathe. It feels like my lungs are being squeezed by a giant hand. We have to get out. We have to leave everything. The door is jammed. Cut it! Cut the canvas! We have to run. Run for the trees. Don't look back at the peak. Whatever you do, don't look back. We are running. I am writing this during a moment of shelter behind a stone ridge. We left everything. The tent is a mile behind us, a shredded ghost on the slope. We didn't even grab our boots. My feet are wrapped in nothing but wool socks, and the ice is already biting through them like 1,000 needles. The darkness is absolute, broken only by the terrifying flashes of that orange glow behind us. We are stumbling over jagged rocks and hidden crevices. I saw Zina fall, her hands scraping against the ice, but she scrambled up instantly. Fear is a powerful engine, but it is a blind one. We are moving in a line, holding on to each other's shadows. The temperature must be 40 below, and the wind is a razor that carves the heat from our skin. I can no longer feel my toes. I can no longer feel my ears. I am just a machine of meat and bone, driven by the instinct to survive. The panic. It was like a wave that crashed over us. I look at the others. Their eyes are wide, glassy. Rustem is shivering so violently he can't speak. We are moving down toward the forest, toward the shadows of the trees, but the light is still chasing us. It hovers above the ridge, those silent, glowing spheres, casting long, twisted shadows on the snow. I hear voices in the wind. Not human voices. They sound like radio static, high-pitched and metallic. Are they calling to us? Or are they the sounds of the mountain laughing at our flight? Every time I look back, the tent seems further away than it should be. Space is stretching. The woods look miles away, even though we have been running for what feels like an eternity. We are 9 shadows stumbling in the dark, descending into a void where the air itself is dying. Why did we run? Part of me asks that question, but my body knows the answer. The air back there, it was poison. It vibrated with a frequency that told our hearts to stop beating. We are 9 shadows stumbling in the dark, descending into a void where the temperature is dropping with every step. I can feel the warmth leaving my body. If we don't reach the trees, if we don't make fire, the mountain will have its way before the sun rises. We reached the great cedar. It stands like a dark tower in the middle of the wasteland. Yuri and the other Yuri, they are gone. They sat by the fire, their hands reaching into the flames. I watched them, and I realized they couldn't feel the heat. Their skin was black and charred, but they didn't flinch. The cold had already turned their blood to slush. We are clawing at the bark of the tree with our bare fingernails, trying to reach the dry branches high above. I saw blood on the trunk, frozen instantly into dark rubies. We are desperate. The fire we built is a pathetic thing, a tiny flickering spark against a universe of ice. Every time the wind gusts, the fire almost vanishes, and our hearts stop with it. I looked at the hands of my friends. They are no longer hands, but gray claws, stiff and unresponsive. We are losing the ability to be human. We are becoming parts of the landscape, slowly being petrified by the breath of the mountain. I am looking at their empty eyes now. They died trying to keep the fire alive for the rest of us. We stripped the clothes from their bodies. It sounds cruel, but it is the only way for the living to stay alive a few minutes longer. Semyon and Lyuda have headed toward the ravine, looking for a deeper shelter, but I can't follow yet. My legs are failing. The wind is singing a funeral song in the branches of the cedar. But if I listen closely, I hear voices from home. I hear the clinking of teacups in the university cafeteria. I see my mother's face in the embers of our tiny fire. It is a trap. The cold is kind at the end. It brings back your warmest memories just before it takes your pulse. Every time I close my eyes, I see the orange light. It is waiting for us to stop moving. I can hear the others calling from the dark, but their voices sound thin, like paper tearing in a storm. We are building our own altar here, and the mountain is the priest. I can hear them. Semyon, Lyuda. They are down in the ravine, trying to hide in the deep snow. But there is no hiding. I hear the sound of branches snapping, but there are no trees down there. It is the sound of bone. It wasn't an avalanche. An avalanche is snow and gravity. This was pressure. I saw the snow above the ravine ripple like water. Something invisible, something that weighs more than the mountain itself, stepped into the hollow. I heard a sound like a ship's hull crushing under the depth of the ocean. It is a localized gravity, a weapon of light and mass. I saw Semyon's chest collapse as if a giant had stood upon him. There was no struggle, only the sudden, violent end of 4 lives. The light above them pulsed once, twice, and then the air went still. Something is pressing down on them, a force that has no weight but crushes everything beneath it. I see the light again, pulsing low over the hollow where they are lying. It isn't just cold anymore. It is a physical weight, a heavy, invisible hand that is folding the earth and everyone on it. I heard Lyuda cry out, a sharp, short sound that was cut off by a sickening thud. I want to run to them. I try to move my legs, but they are no longer mine. They are pieces of wood, frozen to the ground. I am watching my friends be broken by a shadow, by Object 1079. It is not an animal. It is not a man. It is a machine of the sky that has found us in its path. Semyon was right. The mountains saw us, and now it is erasing us, making sure nothing remains but the silence. They will find our bodies, but they will never find the truth. The secret is too heavy for the world to carry. I feel the pressure moving toward me now. The air is starting to vibrate again, humming that low, bone-crushing note. It is my turn to be harvested. My turn to become part of the white silence. Everything is white. I am crawling. I left the cedar behind. I have to get back to the tent. I have to find the others. I saw Zena. She is lying in the snow, her face turned toward the peak. She looks so peaceful, as if she is just sleeping. But the frost has already claimed her. My fingers. I can't feel the pencil anymore. I think I am holding it, but I cannot see my hands. The sky is no longer orange. It is a blinding, brilliant white. The mountain has opened up completely now. I see it. I see the truth behind the lights. It is beautiful. It is terrifying. We weren't supposed to be here. This was never our world. I am so tired. The snow feels warm now, like a blanket, like home. If you find this, tell them we didn't run because we were cowards. We ran because we saw the face of the infinite. The light is taking me. Finally, it is taking me.
This is the kind of audio diary Dyatlov could have had. But honestly, there are so few leads from that creepy incident. Radiation on the clothes, the level of secrecy, the bodies in a strange state, to put it mildly. What do you think?